You've probably heard that you need to use your PIP coverage after a car crash, but you haven't been told how that might affect your lawsuit. I've had people come in thinking they've done everything absolutely right, only to learn that they've accidentally hurt their case. Hi, I'm Ted Spaulding. I'm a personal injury attorney here in Georgia, and I don't want that to happen to you. In this video, I will walk through what a PIP claim is and how it affects your car accident lawsuit, what it helps, what it complicates, and how it ultimately affects that lawsuit. We're going to make sure through this video that you protect your rights, you avoid common mistakes, and you make smart decisions from day one. All right, let's jump right in to how a PIP insurance claim can impact your car accident lawsuit in Georgia. If you're dealing with injuries after a car accident, you're probably heard about PIP, which is personal injury protection. But you might be wondering, what does using PIP do to the actual bigger lawsuit against the at-fault driver that caused the wreck? Does it help? Does it hurt? And does it change what I can recover? Well, let's break it down step by step so we can actually uncover how to use it, how it affects it, and what it means for your recovery. In Georgia, PIP is not required, but it might be there and it can help you. Now, in Georgia, PIP is really what's called medical payment coverage. So we don't have traditional PIP like in other states, which is personal injury protection. We call it medical payment coverage. A lot of people don't have it. In Georgia, it's typically as little as $1,000 to as much as $25,000. I have seen $50,000, very, very rare. You want to have as much medical payment coverage in Georgia as you can afford. And we're going to go through why and how to use it. So if you're hurt in a car accident in Georgia, you're going to have hospital bills, ambulance charges, all of these things are going to start to pile up very quickly. And in Georgia, you got to remember this is a reimbursement system. So the at-fault party does not owe those bills as they're incurred. So you have to figure out how to pay for them. This is where med pay coverage can potentially come in and be very, very valuable in your situation. Now, the question is, does making that claim, that med pay coverage claim, hurt your chances in a lawsuit, or does it help? So let's dig into the key ways that PIP claim, again, med pay coverage claim, impacts your car accident lawsuit here in Georgia. All right, first, let's talk about timing. In Georgia, a car accident lawsuit is going to take years. It's not going to be weeks or months. And again, the problem is your bills are piling up from day one most often. ER visit, you might have gone by ambulance. Those bills have to be paid, and the at-fault party in Georgia is not going to pay them, the insurance company for them, as you go along. That's not how the system works. So timing is a big issue because these bills are going to pile up and you have to figure out how to pay for them. This means doctor's bills, x-rays, ambulance rides, and you're going to be stressing over how do you pay for these things. This is where PIP, or what we call med pay coverage in Georgia, gives you the ability to get these things paid early on while you're still pursuing your case and claim against the at-fault party. So let me give you an example. I had a gentleman who was in a wreck, rear-ended here in Atlanta, and he had $5,000 of med pay coverage. And thank God, because what ended up happening is he needed to have an MRI within days of the wreck and get into physical therapy. Now, he did have medical coverage through his health insurance, which is great. Problem is he had a very, very high deductible that he had not met yet in his year when the wreck occurred. So he had a $5,000 deductible, which means he would have to pay out of pocket for that MRI and that physical therapy visit. Well, what we were able to do is use his med pay coverage to get that MRI done, paid for, and start the physical therapy process to meet his deductible obligation. So he got to exhaust that deductible obligation without anything coming out of his pocket because he had med pay. Perfect scenario for him. Exhausted that, and then going forward, he had health insurance covering everything else. The med pay was that gap ability coverage early on within weeks of the wreck that we could get from the insurance company. That's the beauty of the med pay PIP coverage. Next, let's talk about the worry that I hear often, which is, well, if I use my PIP med pay coverage, isn't the insurance company for the at-fault party going to say, we now don't owe? No, in Georgia, that's not the way it works. Med pay coverage, PIP coverage, is a no-fault system that will pay early on, but you still get to pursue your full claim against the at-fault party. It does not affect that claim at all. It is not something that they can use against you to say we owe nothing. So you got to know that. This is a real important rule. It means you're not going to be penalized for using it. If anything, like the example I gave you earlier with one of my clients, it can be a really big, significant kind of gap filler between health insurance, if you've got it, or God forbid you don't have health insurance, to get treatment started, because you got to pay for it. So that's the good news. You do not have to worry about being penalized in your claim against the at-fault party by using your med pay coverage. We recommend you use it, and use it as quickly as possible so you're not out of pocket for any of these medical costs as you're treating. A lot of folks worry that using PIP or med pay coverage can hurt their lawsuit. Well, actually, it's actually the opposite. It helps your case. Why? Because it allows you to get treatment early on, and therefore the records with the med pay department of your treatment and the payment of it and early on shows that you were injured and clearly injured from this wreck. So in essence, med pay actually helps you pursue your lawsuit, not hurt it. And that's a real key point. Again, going back to the earlier parts of the video, when you are the victim and you're having to pay for your own medical treatment, you've got to figure it out. Every day matters, because insurance loves to argue that you didn't get treatment right away. You had what we like to call a gap in treatment, therefore we don't owe you. MedPay allows you to get the treatment you need early on and often so you can prove your case in court and use those documents through the MedPay to prove that you have these injuries and it required treatment. So it's a good source for your lawsuit, not a bad source. All right, and the last point I want to make about PIP or MedPay that doesn't really seem to be as much of a legal point, but I see it all the time. When clients use their PIP or their MedPay, they don't have to stress about how they're going to pay for their medical costs, how they're going to get the care they need. In essence, MedPay or PIP, they give you peace of mind that you can get the care you need to recover. And in addition, it also helps your attorney build a strong case. Like we just talked about, it lets you get the care early and often. You don't want to have what's called gaps in treatment where the insurance company can argue that, well, you didn't get care for weeks or months, and therefore, once you did get care, that's not related to the car wreck. It must have been something else. That's a bogus argument. We all know it, but sometimes it can be a powerful one in front of a jury. So MedPay is a peace of mind type product. And you can imagine you're hurt. You've got people hounding you for medical expenses. They're saying they're going to take you to collections, all of these things. I've seen it time and time again. We have to help folks with those kinds of scenarios when they don't have MedPay. MedPay can relieve that stress so you can do what we want you to do, which is just focus on your treatment and getting better. It is a peace of mind kind of product. Okay, now let me share a quick word about common mistakes I see Georgians make when it comes to MedPay or PIP coverage after a car accident. I've written some of these down, so let me go through them with you. The first is don't wait too long. Don't wait too long to seek medical care. The longer you wait, the harder it is to link the car wreck to your injuries. Remember what we talked about, gaps in treatment. That's where MedPay can help you avoid that mistake. You don't want days, weeks, months to go by before you start seeking treatment. Harder to link it gives the other side an argument. Always tell your doctor everything, and every doctor everything. And what do I mean by that? Exactly how you got hurt. You want to explain to every single doctor you see how you got hurt. If you leave it out, it won't make it in the medical records. Then medical records become the gospel, and the other side will throw that in your face and say, well, you didn't tell Dr. Smith. about that car wreck being the problem for your back. You didn't say anything. So it must not have been because of your back or because of the car wreck. So be careful there. Read your med pay policy carefully. You got to know what your limits are. And if you haven't been in a wreck yet, please go look at them now. I want you to have as much. It is a cheap product. It is really important. When I've got clients that have 25 or 50,000, I'm doing jumping jacks, not because that means I'm getting paid, because we're not. It means I know they can get the treatment they need and they're not going to have those stressors of, I can't go, Ted, to this or that or this because I don't have the money for it. I don't have health insurance. I don't have this. It is such a big stress reliever to have plenty of med pay coverage on top of all the other coverages. Keep all your receipts and paperwork's a big one. So you want to keep receipts of any and everything that you certainly pay for treatment. You want to be able to see what MedPay paid. You want to keep any of those. They'll be sending you copies when they're paying out your bills. You want to keep all of those, give them to your attorney. If you're not sure, for instance, what your policy says, you need to ask a lawyer to review it. That's part of what we do. We make sure that we're looking under every rock for every available piece of insurance coverage, not just from the at-fault party, but from what you have. This type of coverage, MedPay. So it's real important. And look, in Georgia, when you're dealing with car accident injuries and insurance claims, we understand it's stressful. And the rules, they're oftentimes very confusing, and we get that. An experienced personal injury lawyer can help you with these things. And let me go through again some of these ways that an attorney can help, because you need to know this as well. The attorney can help figure out, do you have PIP or MedPay coverage and how much? That's real important. I can't tell you how many times people, when I ask them that question, they have no clue. They don't even know what MedPay coverage is, much less how much they have. Then half the time I find out what they've got and they're shocked that they have it. And they don't even know how it applies. That's why we've done this video. But this is why it's important to get an attorney involved, because you don't want to miss out on these sorts of things and cause yourself a bunch of stress. An attorney can help make sure you get all the care you need, obviously. Oftentimes there's unique things going on, and because we have seen so much medical treatment injuries, we basically play doctors on television, if you will, because we know the medical field inside and out. We can be there to help guide you through it, especially when there's issues about, well, this doc's saying this doc's saying that. We've seen it all. We can help you. And obviously we can protect your rights against an insurance company. Big ones when it comes to med pay is the, do I owe them back? Therefore, is it going to be used against me or not? And we went through how that works. It can get complicated. That's where an attorney can absolutely help you tremendously. And obviously, finally, negotiating after a car wreck to try to settle your case, file a lawsuit, then settle it or try it to a jury. Real important to have an attorney involved to help you through that process. And remember, folks, one real big thing for me is there's no double dipping. And what do I mean by that? There's no getting paid twice for the same item of damage. But at the same time, there's no double dipping where you can't use your insurance and still sue the at-fault party and that sort of thing. As we've been through, you are allowed to receive a full recovery, and there are mechanisms to ensure you're not double dipping. So using MedPay is not double dipping. Again, you may owe it back to your insurance company as a set-off. You may not. So don't automatically think I can't use MedPay because I'm double dipping if I do. Absolutely no, you are not. The law is going to protect against that type of thing. Again, why you need an attorney to help you with that process. So what did we cover? We talked about how PIP insurance or MedPay insurance works in Georgia. We've talked about how it helps you get the treatment you need quickly, early in the case. And we've talked about how you can do all of that without hurting your right to sue the at-fault party after a car wreck. We walked you through how PIP works, how it interacts with your lawsuit, why using your own coverage doesn't let the at-fault off the hook, and how subrogation works, which is when you might owe it back to your insurance company through a set-off, and why getting prompt medical attention is so important. It doesn't hurt you. MedPay actually helps your case. But here's the deal. There are other types of damages that you might miss out on if you don't know what to look for, especially after a more serious accident with a commercial truck. That's why in my next video, you're not going to want to miss it. It's called Don't Miss the Damages You Can Claim After a Semi-Truck Collision. In that video, I will walk you through step by step absolutely every category of damage you need to know about to protect your family and your finances after a truck crash in Georgia. It is a really important video. I don't want you leaving money on the table. That's what this MedPay video was about, and that's what this video is about. So I want to make sure that you're getting everything you're entitled to in Georgia. So click over to the next video, and I'll see you there.